If you've ever felt completely absorbed in something where time disappeared and everything felt effortless, you've experienced flow. And I need you to know that flow isn't random. It's not something that just happens to lucky people. It's a state you can learn to access. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you what flow actually is, why it's the secret to both peace and performance, and the 3 practices that will help you enter flow more consistently so you can do your best work while feeling completely at ease. I used to think flow was something that happened by accident. Sometimes I'd be working and suddenly I'd look up and hours had passed. I was energized, the work felt effortless, I was completely present, and I had no idea how I got there or how to get back. So most of the time I was in the opposite state, distracted, struggling, forcing, and I assumed that's just how work felt, that flow was a rare gift, not something I could create. Then I learned the science of flow, and I realized it's not magic. It's a specific state of consciousness that happens when certain conditions are met, and those conditions are within your control. Once I understood how to create them, I could access flow whenever I needed it, and my relationship with work transformed. It stopped being something I had to push through. It became something I could lose myself in. Effort and ease at the same time. That's what flow gives you, and that's what peace feels like. Here's what we're covering. First, what flow state actually is and why it matters for both your performance and your peace. Second, the 5 conditions that create flow. And third, the 3 practices that will help you enter flow more consistently so you can work and live from this place of effortless presence. Let's start with what flow is. Flow is a state of complete absorption in what you're doing. Your sense of self drops away. Time distorts, either speeds up or slows down. You're not thinking about what you're doing, you're just doing it. Action and awareness merge. There's no gap between you and the task. You are the task. And in that state, you're at your best. Most creative, most productive, most present, and paradoxically, most at peace. Here's why flow matters. Most of us think peace comes from doing nothing, from being still, from having no demands on us. And stillness is one kind of peace, but there's another kind. The peace of being so absorbed in something that all your worries disappear, all your self-consciousness vanishes. You're not thinking about the past or the future. You're not worried about how you're being perceived. You're just here, fully engaged. And that engagement is peaceful because there's no internal conflict, no resistance, just flow. Flow is where your best work happens. When you're in flow, you access abilities you don't have when you're in your normal state. Your creativity increases, your problem solving improves, your intuition sharpens. Things that would normally feel hard feel easy. Because you're not in your own way, your inner critic is quiet, your doubts are silenced. You're just moving with what wants to happen. And that's why flow feels effortless even when you're working hard. It's effort without struggle. The question is, how do you access this state? It's not about waiting for inspiration to strike. It's about creating the conditions that allow flow to emerge. There are 5 key conditions, and when you understand them, you can design your life and work around them. Condition 1, clear goals. You need to know what you're trying to do. Not in a rigid way, but you need direction, you need a target. Because flow happens when you're engaged with the challenge. And you can't engage with the challenge if you don't know what the challenge is. So before you start working, get clear. What am I trying to accomplish in this session? What's the next step? What does done look like? This doesn't mean you need the whole path mapped out, just the next move. Just enough clarity to know where to focus your attention. Because flow requires focused attention, and you can't focus if you don't know what you're focusing on. Condition 2, immediate feedback. You need to know if what you're doing is working in real time. This is why video games are so good at creating flow. You get instant feedback. You know immediately if your action was effective. And that feedback keeps you engaged, adjusting, responding in the moment. In your work, this might be seeing the code compile, seeing the words appear on the page, seeing the design take shape, seeing the client respond. Whatever it is, you need some way to know that your efforts are having an effect. That feedback loop keeps you locked in. Without it, you drift. You lose engagement. You can't enter flow. Condition 3, challenge, skill, balance. This is the sweet spot. The task needs to be hard enough to demand your full attention, but not so hard that it's overwhelming. Too easy and you're bored. Too hard and you're anxious. But right in the middle, where you're stretched but capable, that's where flow lives. This is why flow doesn't happen when you're doing mindless tasks. Your brain isn't engaged. And it doesn't happen when you're doing things way beyond your skill level. You're too stressed. But when the challenge matches your ability with just a little stretch, your brain locks in because it's the perfect level of difficulty to keep you interested without overwhelming you. Condition 4. Deep focus without distractions. Flow requires undivided attention. You can't enter flow if you're checking your phone every 5 minutes, if notifications are popping up, if people are interrupting you, if you're multitasking. Flow needs uninterrupted time where you can disappear into what you're doing, where the external world fades and all that exists is you and the task. This means you have to protect your attention, you have to create boundaries, you have to say no to distractions, turn off notifications, close the door, set a timer, do whatever you need to do to give yourself unbroken time. Because flow needs at least 20 to 30 minutes to develop. If you're interrupted every 10 minutes, you'll never get there. Condition 5. Intrinsic motivation. You have to care about what you're doing. Flow doesn't happen when you're forcing yourself to do something you hate. It happens when you're engaged with something that matters to you. When you're doing it because you want to, not because you have to. The motivation comes from within, from curiosity, from passion, from meaning, not from external pressure or obligation. This is why you need to find work that resonates with you, or find the parts of your work that you can connect to. Because without intrinsic motivation, you might push through, but you won't flow. Flow requires that you're pulled into the work, not forcing yourself through it. Now here's how you actually create these conditions and enter flow more consistently. These are practical steps you can take to design your life around flow. Practice number 1, time block for deep work. This is non-negotiable if you want to experience flow regularly. You need to schedule uninterrupted blocks of time dedicated to one task. Not meetings, not emails, not admin, deep work. The kind of work that requires your full cognitive capacity, and you protect that time like it's sacred. Here's how. Look at your week. Find at least 3 blocks of 90 to 120 minutes where you can work without interruption. Put them on your calendar. Label them clearly. Deep work. During this time, you work on your most important, most challenging task. No distractions, no switching, just you and the work. And you communicate this to others. I'm unavailable during these times. I'll respond after. 90 minutes is the sweet spot for flow. It's long enough to get deep, but not so long that your brain gets fatigued. After 90 to 120 minutes, you take a break. You move your body, you rest your mind. And then, if you want, you can do another block. But you give yourself at least 1, ideally 2 or 3 of these blocks every week. And you'll notice your productivity skyrockets because you're finally giving yourself the conditions for flow. Practice number 2. Start with a ritual that signals flow. Your brain loves patterns. It loves cues. So you can train your brain to enter flow more quickly by creating a consistent ritual that signals it's time to focus. This could be making a specific drink, lighting a candle, putting on certain music, sitting in a certain spot, doing a quick breath practice. Whatever it is, do the same ritual every time before you enter deep work. Here's what happens. Over time, your brain learns. This ritual means flow time, and it starts to shift into that state automatically. You're creating a neurological pathway, a trigger, so that by the time you actually start working, you're already primed, you're already focused, and you enter flow faster. My ritual is simple. I make tea, I put on instrumental music, I close all apps except the one I'm working in, I take 3 deep breaths, and then I start. That whole sequence takes maybe 5 minutes, but it signals to my brain, we're going deep now, and by the time I start working, I'm already in the zone. Practice number 3. Match task difficulty to your current capacity. This is about awareness. You need to know what state you're in and choose tasks accordingly. Some days you're sharp, your energy is high, your focus is strong. Those are the days to tackle your hardest challenges, the work that requires everything you've got, because that's when you're capable of meeting that challenge and entering flow. Other days you're tired, your focus is scattered, your capacity is lower, and that's okay. On those days, don't try to force the hard work. You'll just struggle and frustrate yourself. Instead, do the easier tasks, the maintenance work, the admin, the things that don't require peak performance. Save the hard stuff for when you're at your best. This is self compassion in action. You're not expecting yourself to be at 100% every single day. You're working with your rhythms. And when you do that, you enter flow more often because you're matching the challenge to your capacity, not forcing yourself to do hard things when you're depleted, not wasting your peak energy on easy things when you're sharp. Also, adjust the difficulty in real time. If you're working on something and it feels too hard, break it down, make it simpler. If it feels too easy, add complexity, challenge yourself more. You're looking for that sweet spot where you're engaged but not overwhelmed, and that sweet spot changes day to day. So you stay flexible, you adjust, you find the edge where flow lives. Here's what I want you to understand. Flow isn't a luxury. It's not just for artists or athletes or people doing creative work. Flow is available to you in any activity where you bring your full attention and meet a meaningful challenge. And when you experience flow regularly, it changes your relationship with work and with life. Because you're not constantly forcing and struggling, you're finding moments of effortless engagement, of being completely here. And that's what peace feels like. We covered what flow is, complete absorption where time disappears and everything feels effortless. We walked through the 5 conditions: clear goals, immediate feedback, challenge skill balance, deep focus, and intrinsic motivation. And we practiced 3 ways to access flow: time block for deep work, create a flow ritual, and match task difficulty to your capacity. This isn't about being productive all the time. It's about experiencing moments where you're so present with what you're doing that everything else falls away, where you're not worried about being good enough, where you're not thinking about what comes next. You're just here, fully. And that presence is both the highest performance and the deepest peace. So here's your practice for today. Schedule one 90-minute block of deep work this week. Pick your most important task. Create a ritual to signal focus. Turn off all distractions and just start. See what happens. See if you can find that edge where challenge meets capability. See if you can lose yourself in the work, even for a few minutes. That's flow. And the more you practice, the more accessible it becomes. Let me know in the comments, when was the last time you experienced flow? What were you doing? What made it possible? Share your flow moments below. We can all learn from each other. You're capable of so much more than you think. Not through force, through flow, through presence, through finding that sweet spot where effort feels effortless. Welcome to the zone. This is where magic happens.